We back. This is Family Talk. Let's discuss it. I'm your boy B
You know, Chef Jimbo in the house.
in the building. And Nick and Nate, our other two, are not in today. They had some prior engagements. But we want to talk fighting today. We want to talk boxing. So Jimmy, introduce who we got. Introduce who we got sitting up with us today, bro.
Listen. I am honored. I got my brother here.
And very honored.
I could call him a brother. My brother Sal. He's my boxing trainer / brother / we watched boxing. We watched the fights together. We watched. Man, this is my guy. I'm honored to have him on. He didn't think it was robbery enough to come on. Like, man, I'm gonna help you out with what you got going on. So, I appreciate the love and respect.
We appreciate you coming big time, so I appreciate that, man.
Hey, it's an honor, man. Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Jimmy, man, we got to talk about these fights that happened a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago, man. And we want to get Sal input. we want to get Sal input. So, Jimmy, let's run it off. Let's talk about this Franco and Maloney, man. Let's run that off.
The robbery of the year. Well, no, but besides Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury,
that's another discussion for another day.
This robbery number 2. But man, where do I start with this one? It was a good fight. This was actually the second fight. Oh man, where do I want to start on this one?
Can we talk about how long it took for them to look at something that wasn't there?
I believe it was like 35 minutes.
It was
over minutes. It was ridiculous.
It was. And
the whole world was looking at this replay over and over and over again. They was trying to say it was a headbutt. It wasn't a headbutt. They kind of bumped heads a little bit on the opposite side, but not on the side where the dude got cut. So listen, the Nevada State Boxing Commission, they should be ashamed of themselves. This is like twice. What happened, Sal?
Definitely, I'm agreeing.
Yeah, number one, I personally believe Tyson Fury cheated. You know what I'm saying? But, I got biased towards Deontay Wilder. But
did I say for another day? Did I say that?
But it leads into it, though. It leads into it.
Okay, what's up?
They should have caught that one, and they should have caught this one. And even while we're watching the fight, Brandon, you saw it as well. Bob Arum, the promoter of Top Rank, the part founder too, he was livid because his guy got cheated out of that fight.
I feel bad
out of the title.
I feel bad.
Yeah, man, I probably would have tore up the place, man.
It's hard to put in words to from what the audience saw. It's hard to put in words, especially if you're a huge boxing fan. And this is what I want to ask Sal, man. What is your opinion about how that happened, and because of it happening, what's the outlook on boxing from that aspect? Like, because we got replays in all sports. When you look at a replay, you're trying to figure out, what can we fix that the human eye didn't see. So can you just give me your opinion upon first your reaction to it, and then what does that do for the replay on boxing?
Well, definitely when I look at it, and then I heard the fighter's interview afterwards, it was heartbreaking. You take a guy that trained not even just for that fight, but to build himself up to get to the platform and to the level that he's at. And then to risk his life because you're not guaranteed to come out of that ring alive.
Right.
Or even you can easily become brain dead from that art of war.
Right.
And, you think about that, that's heartbreaking, and it can really change his career, and not even just his legacy, but also his income, his livelihood. It just has a residual effect on a person's life. And also, he could be so torn about that, it might end his career. Like, why am I going to sit there and fight and then I'm just going to be robbed of victory, you know? And then for fans and trainers and everyone that's connected to the sport, and you can see that type of stuff, and they actually have replays now with that yellow light to where they examine, you know, the incident. And for them to call that, you know, it really questions the integrity of the referees, because you're like wondering what were they watching to validate their decision. And I mean, that's crazy. That's just insane. I mean, it's so detrimental to the sport in many ways. It's horrible. It's really, it's just baffled by the decision made.
Anytime, and I talked with my boss about this fight as well, and everybody has the same reaction. You know what I'm saying? You hardly don't know what to say. You know, because it was so terrible. The refereeing was so terrible. The replay was so terrible. When you have that in place, and not just for boxing, in all sports, like I said, you got to get it right. That's the point of replays. You got to get it right. And for them to hold the audience for 35 minutes, Jimmy, 35 minutes they held, I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, I put up my Christmas tree, and I'm looking back, and I'm like, okay, once I put this light bulb up, it should be done. I'm turning back and forth, and we still looking at the same video for 35 minutes. So,
but not only that, it makes it even worse when you have the commentators, saying what is the Nevada State Boxing Commission looking at?
Right.
They're saying, like, man, I don't know what to say about that fight. Like, Stevie Wonder could have saw that.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder should see that part.
Really? Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Disrespectful. It's
very disrespectful. So where do they go from here? And I want to hear both of y'all opinions on that. Where do both of the fighters go from here? I mean, is there a
rematch?
But like Sal said, do you even want to do that because of the integrity of the referees on that replay? Do you even want to go into a third fight? Because that was the second fight.
Oh yeah, right? We didn't even talk about the referee. He called it a headbutt.
And I mean, where do they go from here? Like, do you have another? Do you have a rematch? I mean, does that need to happen for to bring justice to the situation?
Honestly, I don't see why not, because that would have been, if they do a rematch, that'd be the third fight. It'd be like a trilogy. Right. So, but if he doesn't, I like I'll say, I get it, and I totally understand why he wouldn't want to. So,
yeah, I definitely believe that the rematch totally makes sense, because in our eyes it's 1-1, and obviously there's so much debate already, right?
Right.
So therefore the trilogy would definitely make sense, and I wish they would do something about some sort of, really something to the referees, the people that call the decisions, some sort of higher power to where they can be examined and held accountable for wrong decisions.
And that's another thing. Somebody need to be held accountable for that call. I mean,
exactly.
It's just such ridiculous. Yeah, somebody need to be held accountable.
But on this, kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, someone needs to be held accountable. Like, if I had any weight, I did some research and I found out the Nevada State Boxing Commission, they have a meeting. They have a quarterly meeting. I don't know when the quarterly meeting is, because I know they had one after the Deontay Wilder Fury fight that which took place in February. They had that meeting in March. So, but I'm pretty sure it'll be soon. I'm thinking
it
not
need to
last
be
month, this month. Huh?
It need to be talked about.
Yeah. So like, if I had any power and influence, if I had the money, I'd fly there myself, and I'd be there sitting waiting at the meeting to put my little 2 cents in.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Well, I think that's all we can really say about that meeting. Bro got robbed. Like I said, I felt bad for him. You can see in the interview how he was getting emotional in the interview.
Oh, he was crying.
Yeah, he was getting emotional. Like, you train for that moment, and then for that moment to be taken, because he was winning that whole round. For that moment to be taken away from you, I mean, I can't even fathom if that would have happened to me. That building was coming down that night. It was burning down that night.
Man, hey, actually, when I was watching it with Jimmy,
Uh-huh.
I sat there and I remember it now vividly when his eyes started swelling shut.
Right.
I told Jimmy, I said, man, they've let fights continue with, Badu Jack. His head was split wide open.
Split wide.
Okay?
That was crazy.
Like, how are they letting this fight happen?
Yeah.
And I felt like they should have let that fight happen still. Right?
Right.
And with that being said, that guy would have been target practice. Like, he would have been like a sitting duck. You take away 50% of a man's vision, no matter how good he is, he's only operating with 50% of his vision.
Exactly.
When one eye was starting to close shut, and that guy knew how to touch that eye, obviously. I mean, he could.
But yeah, remember, you hit him with a jab. That's when it started swelling up.
Exactly. So, I mean, he could have easily beaten him the rest of the fight. And, I mean, it would have been highlight reel. Like, I'd be willing to fight, just about anybody with one eye. Like, all right, go ahead, blindfold your eye. I mean, you're literally going to look like a superstar against that person because they can only see halfway.
Right.
So, anyway, that's my input on that one, too.
It's crazy.
And just before Brandon chime in, just to let the listeners know, congratulations to Joshua Franco. He retained the WBA super flyweight world title. He retained it under some sketchy circumstances, but he's still a champion.
He's still a champion.
Still a champion.
I don't know if congratulations has to be put in place, but he is still a champion, and we will see from here what happens, especially with Jimmy talking about the meeting. We'll see from here because I would guarantee we'll see it on ESPN here pretty soon. So, that there was a second fight that night, fellas. It was a second fight. Crawford and Brook. I need to know y'all intake on what were y'all thoughts on that fight. It went 4 rounds. My opinion, Brook held control of it. At least 3 rounds, in my opinion, maybe even 2.5. I wouldn't say 3. 3 rounds, my opinion, but y'all are the experts, so y'all tell me what was y'all thoughts on that fight with Brook and Crawford.
You want to lead on that one, or you want me to go, Sal?
Go ahead. No, you can go ahead.
All right. So I'm gonna try not to take everything from Sal. So all right, let's go. The fight lasts 4 rounds. So let's go round by round. Round 1, round 2. First off, I will say this, that Kell Brook, just to let the listeners know, Kell Brook, nicknamed Special K. The guy's a special boxer. He's a really good boxer. He moved up in the past years. He moved up to fight. If anybody, I don't know what listeners know about Triple G, but the guy Triple G got dynamites in both hands, if you ask me. And Triple G broke, I believe, the right eye socket, Sal, of Special K. Yeah, he broke one of them. And then he broke, let's just say Triple G broke Kell Brook's right eye socket. Then he fought one of my favorite fighters. I just want to throw that out there. The guy, Errol Spence Jr., The Truth. His nickname is The Truth because he is. Errol Spence broke the other eye socket and made him quit in that fight. So basically it was a TKO. But in this fight, Kell Brook was before this, he fought, I want to say 3 fights at the 154 weight division. And then he went down to 147 to fight Terence Crawford for the, I believe it was the WBO welterweight championship title. Mm-hmm. And listen, Kell Brook came to that fight looking sharp as ever. Man, I know I had Kell Brook winning the fight because I thought Kell Brook was gonna shock a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But listen, he came in. If you know anything about boxing, he came in with that jab, and he was giving it to Terence Crawford.
He was.
And yeah, and he was pretty much another boxing terminology. Like he was timing Terence Crawford pretty much. He got that flow. He was still tight. While you could see how you could see a little tightness within him, but he was timing Terence Crawford. Every time Terence Crawford got ready to come in, pop. Like wake up, back up. He gave Terence Crawford some good jabs to the body, good jabs to the head. You can see Terence Crawford's right, above his right eye was swollen. Pretty much by the end of the second round. Well, within the second round, it was pretty swollen. It's very visible. You couldn't miss it. Terence Crawford did good as well, but man.
With Terence Crawford, well, before I say anything, Sal, I want to get your input on it. Get your input before I say anything.
Yeah, my input, man, is he was touching Crawford for sure.
Yes,
he was timing him. He was touching him, and I was really impressed with the way he was touching him because his distance, he was keeping his distance really well to where he would be able to touch Terrence and what we call in boxing and not have to pay, and he wouldn't get touched. And that right there, to do that to Terrence, I was very impressed with that. So, I was like, wow.
One thing to add to that, I'm sorry for cutting you off there, Sal. One thing to add to that I found earlier, Brook landed 36% of his shot, his hits.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's 36%, and I think from what I saw earlier, Crawford was only landing 24% of his hits. You know what I'm saying? So Brook came out. Yeah, he came out the floodgate. You feel me? But go ahead, Sal. I wanted to add that in there. Go ahead.
No, and now you're talking about the percentage, the numbers. I mean, you're not supposed to be able to touch Terrence like that.
Right.
So I was extremely impressed. And my input is, I don't know, I question his durability now, how much damage he took for the preparation, for all the wars that he's had, all the fights he's had in his career. I mean, where's his brain at? I mean, you're talking, what round did he get finished by Triple G? What round did he get finished by Errol Spence? I mean, you just kind of think, man, does Terence Crawford hit that much harder, or is he that much kind of deteriorated in durability? So I mean, but then again, anything can happen. You could get hurt enough, and then you seen how flush some of those punches were after he got dazed, to where, I mean, if someone's that dazed and you catch him in what I call the shutdown button, like he was caught, I mean, the best men have fallen off of less. So I mean, I don't know. It's crazy because that punch, it looked like a jab at first, but Jimmy mentioned that it was a hook. So, because I was gonna say, if he did that with a jab, oh my gosh.
And that's my next question. I think you might even answered it with your last your thought there, Sal. Is what happened? What happened with Brook? And I watched it again today before actually on my lunch break before we started here. What happened? He had it controlled. He had it controlled. Even he said in the corner, they put the camera on him. He's like, what happened? What happened? What was your opinions on what happened for Brook to slide off and let Crawford put a mayonnaise on his face, towards the end now. So what's your thoughts on what happened? You know what I'm saying?
What had happened was
what had happened? What you think, Jimmy? What happened?
Man.
Well, listen, like I was telling Sal during the fight, he threw a good little right hook, but I think it was mainly due to Kell Brook.
Talia said you call me.
No. It was mainly due to Kell Brook. He walked into that hook. And it was perfect timing. He threw his punch. And he put his head down, and Terence Crawford's hand was already in motion, and it just caught him right there when he put his head down. But I will also say another thing that I think that happened is this. I hear a lot with football with people that get hurt, and then they still got that ghost in the little whispers in the back of their head. I think that's something that's major that I think he also dealt with as well. So I think that's something that he dealt with that I think that was part of it too, to be honest with you.
No, but go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, yeah, it's he got dazed off of that punch, and it really dazed him to where his defense, he wasn't able to defend properly. So in a sense, his defense went out the window, because obviously you're not really present like you would be if you were fully, aware of what's going on. So you couldn't defend yourself properly. And then Crawford was able to land more punches, and that caused, the first count. And then he wasn't right all the way after that. And Terrence was able to capitalize on that and put the nail in the coffin.
So do y'all think, because this is something that I paid attention to when I watched it again, I didn't pay attention to it the first time, but Crawford came out and I guess they call it, I don't know what they call it in boxing, a right punch stance. Now he ended up switching, he ended up switching to a southpaw. Do you think that helped with landing? Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, and how so though? Like explain to everybody how so.
Well, for one, when you're fighting somebody in the right hand stance, which is orthodox, you're already getting the rhythm. And then literally Terence Crawford, he's like one of the best that does that. He'll switch. So he switched to, the left hand style, I forgot, I can't think of the name, but anyways, so you literally, have to calculate everything. Everything's different. It's a different fighter, so you have to process that, and it's not the same distance. Everything changed, you're fighting a different fighter, and I don't really know anyone that does it better than Terence Crawford,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Southpaw,
I agree.
Actually, the name for it, southpaw. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that one.
So that's, I mean, I was paying attention to that earlier because I heard the announcers like, okay, he started in the right, like you said, the orthodox stance. Then he switched up to the southpaw, and when he switched to that southpaw, especially at the beginning of that fourth round, it was dangerous.
That's something Terence Crawford is known for. He's known to stance in the middle of the fight.
Yeah,
right.
It was dangerous.
Well, you think about it too, though, because a lot of these fighters, they fight with a specific rhythm, specific distance, speed. So I call it that you have to solve that riddle. And Kell Brooks was doing really well solving that riddle when Terence Crawford was in his original orthodox stance. I actually was told, I think I recollect that's his stronger, he's normally a right-handed person. But he's obviously trained so many years and invested so much into his craft that he can do southpaw just as good. So, but regardless, he was getting that riddle solved, and then he switched up, and I mean, there's not much data after that.
Yeah,
I got a good story. I was listening to Timothy Bradley, and if you know anything about him, he's a decorated fighter, a great fighter. Just to let the listeners know. He was also one of the how you say it, commentaries?
Yeah.
Commentator.
He was one of the commentators on that fight, and he told the story about when he met Terence Crawford when he was younger. You saw the interview?
I believe so. Yeah, when they sparred.
Yeah, when they sparred, and then he said Terence Crawford switched his stance up out of nowhere, and he was like, "Whoa, wait, what?" And like for him to act so shocked, like wow. But he said from that moment he knew Terence Crawford was going to be a great fighter. And yeah.
That's just like something. That's just like something in any sport. You're in the middle of a football game, basketball game, tennis game, and you changed on the way on how the game is going. And that's what I saw in the fight. He changed the way how that fight was going. He started out one way, okay, let me see how you're going to hit me in this way. Then he changed to the southpaw. Let me see how I'm going to get him in this way. And he finished miraculously. It was great.
Man, but I'll tell you what, if the way how highly Timothy Bradley talks about him, because I'm going to tell you something. When you're in a boxing gym and and you're sparring somebody and they're sparring you at orthodox or southpaw, whatever stance, right? And literally they switch stance on you. I kind of feel like, man, it's almost like a disrespect. Like,
disrespect.
Literally.
Really?
It's like, it's like if you're a basketball player, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a basketball player. You're right-handed, so I'm assuming that your left foot is always forward, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So then, you're beating me maybe by a point. It's competitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, you switch stance on me like you're left-handed. I'm just like, are you kidding me? You think you're going to get me with that?
Yeah.
So literally, it's the same thing. Like, what? You think you're going to beat me with your left hand? And, like fighters, it's like 80-20 or something, Like, you barely train for your other side. So usually when people do that in the middle of a fight, the other fighter, like, I always feel like blitz them. Like, all right, put that pressure on them to make them change backs and make them never, go back into that stance. Just to, like, teach them a lesson. Like, man, you tried me. You think you're going to be able to, do something with that stance? That's not your normal stance.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So you make them pay. And obviously, so that's just mind-boggling how that guy can fight just as good on each side. It
was very impressive.
Really insane. Yeah.
It was impressive. So my next question is, where does Crawford go from here? Because I know I saw a couple interviews. He really wants Manny Pacquiao.
Where does Crawford go from here? I would say, see, my problem with Crawford is this. And to many people, he's labeled 1, maybe 2 pound for pound best fighter right now. Mm-hmm. But my problem with him is this, is that he dominated 140, 135, 130. He did what he was supposed to do in those other weight divisions, those weight classes. But he came to 147. It's like he came trying to get the big dog. And the only reason I'm saying this, because when Errol Spence was at 147, he was doing what Terence Crawford was doing. He was calling out Thurman and the big dog. Mm-hmm. But everybody was telling him, nah, you need to work your way up. You just can't come in our division. Because you know anything about Errol. Errol started out at 154. And then he came down to 147 because that was the money division. So, but all Crawford, Thurman, Garcia, Kell, Brook, Porter, all of those guys told Spence, like, nah, you need to work your way up. You just can't come in here thinking that you're gonna get the top 4, top 5 fighters, and you ain't putting no work in this division. And I feel the same way. Same thing needs to be done for Terence Crawford. Like Terence Crawford, he's just going for Errol Spence when, to be honest with you, bro, why haven't you fought Porter or Garcia or none of these cats? He's fought Brook, so I'm going to give him credit. But if I'm him, I feel like he needs to fight Ugas or even maybe even Thurman, before he get the Spence or the Pacquiao fight.
So you're saying just work, just doing that process rather than jumping ahead.
What? Now I say he has fought a lot of people in 147. I would give him that, but I just feel like I personally would like to see him fight either Ugas or Porter or Thurman before he gets Spence or Pacquiao.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Got anything to add on that one, Sal?
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool to see him fight all those people and everything, but I think he's gonna slide on that. He's gonna skate on that. He's gonna skip that grade, so to speak, because he's got enough attention to where he's already number 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So he's, the biggest debate, the biggest conversation is him and Spence, Mm-hmm. And I mean, for one, him and Spence is obviously the fight to make, but let's face it, I mean, I was just thinking about this while Jimmy was talking, and I don't know how great Errol's gonna be because he's still, probably halfway in his career still. But just from right now, looking where it's at, and me being a fighter and a champion and wanting to take people's names and put it under my belt, like I would rather have Pacquiao's name under my belt right now.
And that's why I brought him up. Yeah, that's why
he's a cash cow.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. Not even for the cash. Like if you want to make the most money, obviously, I don't see you making any more money unless than if you fought Pacquiao. For one, so he's got the money covered right there. So obviously, that's very appealing in a sport that you're not guaranteed to make it out alive after that fight. right? And then secondly, the legacy to actually sit there and say, 10 years from now, like, oh yeah, here you have Terence Crawford Jr. or Spence, or the kid, their kids or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, my dad was a pro boxer. He beat Manny Pacquiao. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I see what you're saying.
I mean, that guy's like, Errol's amazing. Obviously, we know that's your favorite fighter and all, but he's nowhere near as famous as Pacquiao. You could say that in China. You could say that in Europe. You can say that worldwide. To where, like, what? Your dad?
Manny
what?
Pacquiao.
Like, that's
Pacquiao put his work in though.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. For sure. And hopefully, Errol's going to be on his way there. So, I mean, right there. But the thing is, you're on a time crunch. If you don't take Pacquiao now, and not even alone, because Pacquiao has to choose you, because Pacquiao's already solidified. He's already, like, he's the lottery card. He's not even scratching it anymore. He's going to give you the privilege of allowing you to win that Powerball.
Right. And Pacquiao, he's earned that to choose you.
Right. He has, for sure. He dang near died about it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, with that being said, that's a huge, appeal. That's a huge, benefit to fighting Pacquiao. I mean, it's like, he's old and stuff. And a lot of people might discredit me, but it's like, who cares? I got a chance to take this dude and put him in my belt and take his actual belt. I don't care if he's 50. I'll fight him. The older, the better.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll fight Pacquiao when he's 60.
Hey, man, look. I got a legend under my belt. I feel
exactly. I feel you. Yeah.
8 times. There isn't no other 8-time world division fighters in the world. So in history. So anyway, that's pretty interesting. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we kind of roll into the end, but I want to squeeze this in since we talked about it in the meeting. I need to get y'all real quick because we pushing on time, but I need to get y'all opinions on the fight coming up this weekend. Roy Jones Jr., Mike Tyson. Give me your thoughts and give me your prediction.
Go ahead, Sal.
And my thoughts on it really is, it's who gets touched first. Who gets that shutdown button pushed first, and how efficient or how effective is it? When you get punched in the jaw, you're old. They're both older. They both got some wars under their belts. And I think they can hurt each other. I just kind of feel like Tyson can get it. I feel like Tyson's gonna get it. It's 50-50 though. So I mean,
you think Tyson gonna get it as in get that work, or he gonna get? No,
I think he'll get the dub. I think he'll get he'll get the win. And I think if he gets in, or when he gets in on Roy, I don't know how Roy is gonna handle that pressure, because he's been training for this. And when you see him hit that mitt work, he don't have to be the full Mike Tyson he was, because he's not fighting the full Roy Jones that he was.
Right.
So it's kind of like an even playing field.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you're going to get the best Mike Tyson at, they're not far from age, maybe like 5 years. But so let's see who crumbles under against the pressure, I mean, Tyson might fold after he gets touched, and I think he can be touched, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like Tyson will take it with the pressure, because obviously we know that he hits harder. That's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah.
If I was a gambling man, I would bet Tyson hits way harder. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At 50, when they're both 60, I think Tyson's gonna always hit harder. Right. So that's my input on that.
Jimmy?
Oh man, my heart is all for Roy. But
listen. He said, that thing, hey, you in my heart, bro, but I got the swerve there.
Yeah, hey, man, listen. I pray for my brother, man.
Right? Shoot, for real. Pray for both of them.
Yeah, both of them. But listen, Tyson, man. Oh man, listen, Tyson. Roy gonna have to. Only thing I can think that Roy, he might have to go to traditional, man. Just keep that jab up and keep him at a distance. Because, like you say, when he gets in,
when
he get on the inside, oh man,
Well,
man.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna kind of side with Jimmy because my heart goes out to Roy. I agree with Sal. It's gonna come to who get hit first, who get touched first. Whoever get touched first and that first hit, with them being older, I mean, your bones ain't the same when you're 20.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So that
brains ain't the same.
Exactly. So that first hit, if I was a betting man, I'm going with Tyson. I would love to see Roy win, but I think my prediction is going to lie with Tyson.
And might I add this before you go?
Mm-hmm.
Might I add this? Roy's last fight, I want to say, was in 2014, 2013.
Wow.
Bare knuckle fight. Knocked out, and it looked like it was a bad knockout. It didn't look good because his reflexes aren't there like it used to be. Because that was his key. That was the key to everything he had.
Right.
And
go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm about to say, if you go back to YouTube and look up his past fight, I know it was like 4, 5, 6 years ago. It wasn't a good knockout, man. It really wasn't. And at that point, I'm watching. I'm like, Roy, man, stop.
It's over. Yeah, let's put it to an end. Well, speaking of over, we've unfortunately come to the end. But I want to thank Sal, man. I appreciate you coming on, brother. Spreading out your knowledge. We would love to have you back, especially on these boxing conversations. We definitely love to have you back.
I'm gonna harass him.
Jimmy, thank you for even putting the bug in Sal's ear. This is Family Talk. I'm your boy B.
Jimbo.
And we're gonna holler at y'all real soon.
My man Sal. All right, y'all.
All right, y'all.
Peace.